Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you're joining us from around the world. We are set here for another set of six, and today I have the great pleasure to speak to some of our officials, the referees, and we have a great group of people to talk to tonight. Mr. Ian Matthews joins us, as does Mr. Darren Sykes from the Federation of International Touch. We're also joined by Bianca Arco and Sylvain Charrat from France. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us tonight for this set of six to talk about referees development around the world of touch football. Thanks for joining us.
Welcome.
Hello.
Good to be here, mate.
So what I might do is, just by way of introduction, I'll throw it out there and get you each to just tell us a little bit about yourself and how long you've been involved in the sport, and why you've hung around for so long in the case of Ian. And we go back a long way, Ian, from back in the dark ages of the sport here in Australia, but it's great to see some faces and the friendships we developed. So we'll start with you, Ian.
Look, Adam, as you know, I've been around for a long while. Even to the days where I referee, but I started as a player, went on to coaching, then I went on to a referee, then on to referee coaching, and then into the admin of the sport. And I think that's been a journey of some 40 years or more. And the reason I stay around is the camaraderie, the friends you make all along the way, and the places you go, the places you see. Just in general, the people you meet. I think the touch people are just unique. They're just one mind, one culture in refereeing, that is, and just a great bunch of people to be around. Yeah.
And I think you sell yourself a little bit short there, Ian. A lot of that is because of that hard work and dedication that you've thrown into the sport over the years, mate. So, on behalf of the players and the coaches that have been around the game, I thank you for everything you've done for the sport. So,
Thanks,
cheers
mate.
for that. So, Darren, what about yourself, mate? All the way there from the Aotearoa, the land of the long white cloud in New Zealand. What's your background?
Yeah, mate, pretty similar to Matto, actually. Started as a player, sort of transitioned into, like most players, not enough referees. So, player referee, allocated to games, and sort of picked that part of the sport up more seriously. And then, got more serious as a referee domestically, internationally, and met Matto very early on in my career at the 1991 World Cup here in New Zealand, in Auckland, and then really transitioned into referee coaching after the 91 World Cup, and have kept that through over the last 25, 30 years, and have been really fortunate enough to not only work domestically in New Zealand as a referee coach, referee administrator, but also managed to, through the Federation of International Touch, reach out of New Zealand and to contribute and support, particularly I've been really lucky, the referee development work that's been done in Europe. So over the last 10 years, spent quite a bit of time in Europe working with those referees and those referee coaches. That's probably been a significant part of my own development. But refereeing has given me so many friends over so many countries. It's just an incredible part of my life, 35 years now. So, and all of that as a volunteer. So, really interested later on as we go through some of the topics tonight about volunteering and the future of volunteering for referees, which is a really big topic here in New Zealand as well, as around the world.
And like Ian, mate, on behalf of all the participants in our sport and the work that you've done in New Zealand, I had the pleasure of watching you run around in some of those early international games as well, and you've left an indelible impression on the refereeing ranks in New Zealand. It's great to see some of those youngsters come through, and it must fill you full of pleasure to see those faces as they make their way onto the world stage.
Oh, totally. Look, but I think refereeing is one of those parts of sport that goes beyond your own domestic country to international. And it's a sort of endeavour that you can pursue individually, but it's a collective as well. So it goes beyond national boundaries to individual.
Yeah, they really are the third team in any game, aren't they? The way they work, so almost like a machine now. The way the referees are run, so it's great that they are that third team. And then off the field as well, the camaraderie that you mentioned, and just as Ian talked about, that one mentality, that one mind that you all have. It's great to see, and that's reflected in the development that you guys have taken to the world stage.
No, absolutely. Great to be
you
there,
mentioned there the European referees. We might throw it out to Sylvain now and just find out a little bit about the Sylvain Charras story and where you're from and how you came to be here, mate.
Yeah, so I am a French referee. I started in 2004, so 15 years ago, in a local clubs. As often we start refereeing because the club needs to provide referee, and that was the first step of my development. I rapidly moved and grow to domestic tournaments, and since 2010, I started international referee at the European Championships. I was very lucky to be invited to the 2011 World Cup in Edinburgh. That was primarily to make the number because we were like of referee. I never came back to the play. After this World Cup, I decided to involve and commit myself to full-time referee. Since 2012, I do all the main events as referee, from Euro to World Cups. I'm lucky enough to travel all around the world to share my knowledge on referee, and rapidly I involve myself in the referee management. Firstly, locally for my regions, I take the referee directors of France in 2014, and I'm very lucky now to lead and manage the European referee since the beginning of this year as a European referee directors. So
that's awesome, mate. And we'll touch on some of that great work you've been doing over there in Europe with the referees, and of course with the support of people like Darren and Ian. And we'll touch on that a bit later, Sylvain. But it's great to have you on board, mate. And hopefully we'll hear some of those stories that you've got to share throughout the evening. So lastly, but certainly not least, we have a young lady joining us from, the Asian contingent, Bianca. What's the Bianca story? And tell us a little bit about your journey through the refereeing ranks.
Yeah, so I guess it's pretty similar to a lot of people, a lot of volunteers who become referees. So I grew up in and around Southeast Asia, and I learned how to play touch. In the Philippines, we did at the time have a very limited number of referees. So each team had to provide a referee to officiate some of our league games. So started playing social, saw that we were entering a team for the World Cup in 2015. So I tried out for it. And since then got involved with like sports administration because I saw the potential of to grow touch in the Philippines on a national or competitive level, and saw how important it was that to really level up the referee, the quality of referees on top of everything else related to the sport. So I got involved with sports administration and like team management, all of this stuff off the field. And I've been doing that, I guess, since 2015. And then joined the Member Relations Commission for Asia with FIT late in 2020. So we haven't had much gameplay in the Philippines. So I've just been keeping myself busy with like online courses and things like that for the Asia community.
Well, that's awesome, Bianca, and it's great to have a a young, friendly face that we can obviously put the name to now, and the great work you're doing over there in the Philippines and the greater Asian region. I know is certainly very well respected, and it's great to have you on board tonight. And it's really refreshing to have that insight that you'll be able to bring to the conversation as well. So we'll touch on, obviously, we're all affected by COVID in some way, shape or form. I might start with you, Ian, and just how has COVID-19 affected the refereeing community, and what are some of the steps you've been taking to try and penetrate through that?
Well, firstly, Adam, I think that it's greatly affected, and it's greatly affected play. Not so much, I don't think, in Australia because it's an isolated country, but certainly in the Americas and across Europe and across Asia, where we were once being able to send coaches and presenters and the like into different regions to assist with referee development, we had to find other ways. And we've done a lot now with the development of our courses. We've got another course ready to go. They're online courses. The first one, and they all come with accreditation. This next one it's due for release, will probably be in the next month or so, is the intermediate course, and that comes with a lot more video, but it all comes with video analysis as well. So we'll need to get the videos of the referees refereeing in their home country and send them to us, and we've got a team like of 12 coaches and assessors that are on the international panel that will push these videos around and have the coaching done by video. It's almost as similar to being there. It's because we're able to play these back to the video, to the referees involved, and be able to say to them and stop a video and say, here's an area that we need to improve, and we can actually shoot it out on Zoom, and we can have annotations and all that sort of stuff that's on screen, and draw arrows and things of where they could stand or what they could have said. We're working on things now that's actually live streamed straight from live coaching straight from live stream, which is, you can have a course in, let's just say, a game in, I don't know, for example, Fiji. We can be watching it on our computer at home and actually give the referee feedback after the game.
Wow.
We're also doing, we're working on a voiceover coaching, which is the coach actually talks over the video that's being played and can tell the referee where the issues are right then, and that goes hand in hand with video analysis.
Yep.
And we're also now doing we're getting some stuff sorted out so that we can send around the world, just a referee communication. I've done a little bit at one of our junior tournaments here, but we'll get further into it as the year progresses. So referees actually know what's being said to players and the respect that's shown from the referee to the player and vice versa, and all of that like-minded stuff. So we're doing a lot of things that we could never come up with before, but we were forced into it through the COVID and the general want for us to develop our referees, but moreover to the people around the world that wanted their referees to be developed, and then how they were going to do it. So we've been to America, Chile, through Asia, a lot of the Pacific Islands that we've been to with these courses. So we've hit probably, I think, around about 700 odd people now, referees that
Wow.
we would never have been able to get to in the past. Even if we had been on the ground, we would have only been able to see probably 20 or 30 referees at a tournament. So having these online courses and having it so they're heavily video orientated, it gives the referees a lot of discussion time, a lot of questions can be asked. I mean, the course normally goes for just under 3 hours, but we don't get out of them much under 4 hours because of the time we spend just running through different sections of the course. And it's just every one of the international panels been involved in these courses somewhere along the line. And I'm sure Bianca will tell you, I mean, Asia has had the biggest course. We did something like, I think it was back in February. we did a course for like 230 participants in one shot, and we've got another rule session coming up for 100 or thereabouts. So like that's the things we've had to do. That's the things we've had to do to move with the times and make sure the referees are up to speed.
Yep. So we might bring Bianca in there and just, Bianca, get your input on exactly what Ian was talking about there and what effect that had on the refereeing ranks there through that Asian region.
Yeah, no, the online courses are really helpful because like Ian mentioned, we hit like 230 participants in one afternoon across 12 nations. So each of the 12 nations in the 12 member nations for Fit Asia were represented in that course. And we couldn't have done that if it was like a traditional offline course. So the video review and the video playback is also like an interesting way for all the participants to be engaged and to learn. So I have attended like the traditional referee course in the past, and it's different because with the video playback, the learning is a lot faster. So there's definitely nothing lost in transitioning the referee accreditation online, because if anything, you're just able to reach a wider audience.
Yeah, that's outstanding. And we spoke to Kiribati a few weeks ago, and they in the Pacific Islands, they're a small touch community, but they were all able to attend the online refereeing perspective, and they couldn't speak more highly of it and the impact that it had on them and the organisation of the sport in that country. So, yeah, kudos to the people that have put that together. So, Sylvain, from a European perspective, we know that the continent of Europe has been greatly affected by COVID. Is this something that you're also mirroring and rolling the video presentations out to your refereeing ranks?
Yes, in Europe, there wasn't any touch since March 2020, and it was difficult to organize anything around that. Firstly, now we have in line that we can restart playing touch, and we will have the first tournaments will take place in the next months, we think. During these times at the European Referee Commissions, firstly, we had a lot of work to do with the new versions of the rules. We have to provide some content for our country to adopt the rules. So that's what we work on during 2020. And from the beginning of 2021, as there was no touch, we take the time to engage on a strategic referee development plan, and that will allow us to think about what and how we want to manage and organize refereeing in Europe for the next years. That was really interesting, and we focus on different parts of the referee developments. We will have a talk on that later in the workshops, and that's a good input for everyone. And on the video and online course, we decide to deliver level 1 and level 2 European referee course online. So that was something we never did before. So a lot of video had been included in this training course. We also work, and we were very, very lucky in Europe to have someone who can develop some apps, online apps. So we are able to do the exams online. So this app is a great tool for us and for everyone in Europe. So we can have different languages to take the exams. The apps offer this possibility. And recently we delivered the level 1 referee coach course online. That was also the first time we delivered this course online with great talks. We are now fully confident to using Zoom or Teams to deliver this kind of course. what on the next steps is probably level 3 course, but that is mainly talk between we don't yet plan to do it online. So we prefer to keep it presentials, and the course for becoming presenter is also not available online, but maybe in the later times.
So looking forward to getting back out there on the field. Darren, we might just wrap this part of the conversation up and throw to you. Obviously, the technology that's been brought into the game now and being able to deliver these presentations to a very wide audience. What are some of the plans as far as getting it out there to making it available to the clubs and school organisations and things like that? Do you see this being something we can take to the masses in that respect?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think probably prior to 2020, before COVID, I think, well, certainly from a New Zealand perspective, I think our probably our referee lens quite conservative, and a very big emphasis on in-person coaching, in-person support. And COVID was really good, and I have to take my hat off to Maddo and FIT to actually see the development of the FIT online developments from a New Zealand perspective has made us now open up our eyes to how we need to change not just because of COVID, but because the volunteers that are wanting to referee, they're different than they were 30 years ago when Maddo and I came into refereeing. It's a different age group, different communities, and we have to be more innovative to be able to capture a referee or a volunteer for as long as we can. And so you have to be able to use all the tools available, and certainly online education, online support is part of that. So from a New Zealand perspective, we're having to look at our courses in New Zealand, and we've got a project on at the moment which is looking to redevelop our base referee courses to move them online, to get the benefit of some online, to basically remove a one-day course attendance totally out. Not just because of COVID, but because we needed to move with the times.
Well, as you said, the world's changing, volunteers are changing, the sport itself is changing. And I've got to say, from somebody that's been around the game for a long time, at every level of the sport, the professionalism that's demonstrated by the referees ranks is second to none, not just in touch itself, but I think sport in general. A lot of those more professional sports, inverted commas, can look at the model that you guys have put in place and could be learning some great lessons from the work that people like yourself and Maddo and the FIT panel, the dedication that you've put in. It's interesting. We do have an audience online tonight watching us, and we've also already had some comments come in. And one there, a very interesting one from Bill Kerr, the Secretary General of FIT, the most valuable group of volunteers taking our sport forward during a very difficult time for our sport and the world in general. So, lots of kudos from the participants out there as we see many of the faces of the men and women who don the referee's uniform. These pictures coming to you from the World Cup in Malaysia. But, it's just an amazing organisation, the referees, and the professionalism you bring to our sport. I want to throw it out there. Darren touched on a really interesting point about the retention of the volunteers and the people in our sport. Maddo, that's one of the biggest issues, obviously, facing the officialdom of our sport. What approach have you undertaken to assist that retention and make it attractive for the men and women to don that uniform?
It starts, Adam. It starts with our at probably a grassroots level. It's not something that just comes to people later in their career. What we've done we've just, as I'll give you an idea, in New South Wales, we've just developed a youth program, but it's for elite youth, and this will end up going nationally and internationally maybe. But what we've done is align mentors to them that have helped them develop quickly and almost fast track them. The concern we've had is when we drilled down to find out why referees were leaving the sport, it was because they couldn't see a career path, they weren't getting the right games, they didn't feel they were in the clique and all that. So we had to break the barriers down and change our culture to its more supportive and inclusive culture now, where the referees are all supporting each other. So the one way we got to retain people was to introduce a new style of culture that was more incorporated more camaraderie, support, and I've got your back, mate type of culture, which is, it's really now been a part of our future. It's a part of what we are at state, national, and international level. And I think that's starting to produce really good referees, and it's keeping referees there a lot longer. We've actually got, like groups of youth referees, opens referees, and masters or seniors. So we've got people in the sport now that have stayed around, and some of the referees still refereeing at international level and national and international level into their 60s now, where that was not heard of before, But the average referee some 20 years ago was maybe 30, 35-ish. We've got a lot of young, my youth squad, and my youngest referee, and that is 17, and my oldest is 23.
Wow.
And half of those are black badge referees, or more than half are black badge referees. So it tells you that the youth of today are being supported by the people that have come before them and given them a lot more experience. So they're staying around a lot longer, and they're a lot more in touch with the game, a lot more in touch with what refereeing is all about.
Yeah, so it goes hand in hand with the coaching organisation they have, to have active mentors that are still out there putting it on the paddock at their appropriate level, being able to mentor and coach the youth coming through.
Absolutely, mate. That's, it goes without saying. You just need really good mentors that really want to do the job. They really and have buy-in to the referee's future. And our mentors now, they contact the referees. They make sure they're all involved if everything's all right. We've got a state of origin coming up, and the camaraderie amongst the referees in the state of origin is second to none.
Yeah,
that'll give you what it's like here. Yeah.
That third team that I talked about earlier on, it's really reflected in events like that. I might bring Bianca. I'll bring Bianca back in again as a younger referee. Is that something that you're feeling from within, and something that drives you to keep participating as an official of the sport?
Yeah, definitely. And just to add also to what Ian was saying, now that the resources and the access to coaches and mentors like himself and the rest of the referee coaches on the referees commission, just the access to that is already such a huge advantage for anyone who's wanting to develop their referee career or their referee skills. Because I guess before, we wouldn't have been able to have someone on, from Australia and the referee panel conduct these courses throughout Asia. But now that we've transitioned online, and the connectivity and the access to the people at FIT are available now, I think that's definitely a move in the right direction to retain more referees and younger referees as well, and to provide that support and that mentorship, which otherwise maybe wouldn't have happened. Because for Asia, touch is still a relatively new sport for a lot of Asian countries. So with a lot of other Asian countries also still developing, they might not have the opportunity to bring coaches and referees into their countries. So shifting online and getting access to people from FIT and from the different commissions, it's definitely a step in the right direction to develop the sport across the region, not just in Asia, but across the world.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great insight, Bianca. Thank you very much for sharing that with us. I just want to touch on something here. We've had a comment come in from one of our viewers. Claire Gleason has put a question to us, and I think it's interesting given Matto's conversation regarding the black badge. Why is there no standardised referee badge system? Why do Australia and New Zealand operate using different systems?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question, Adam. I think it all sort of lines up to what the countries have got, or just the national bodies around the world have got as their leader. Like, to give you an example, Australia has 6 badges, New Zealand has 4, England has 5. So to line those up within the courses is near impossible.
Yeah.
But a black badge is the top of the tree, and it doesn't matter where you go around the world. The black badge in New Zealand, Australia, or across Asia to Europe is the same referee. So we know if somebody's got a black badge, irrespective of the progressive system they're using to get there, the black badge is the top of the tree. So there's different colour badges. I know there's different colour badges in New Zealand to what we have in Australia, and there's different colour badges again in Europe to what's around the world. So FIT doesn't have a badge system as such. When we've written the courses, we've gone with courses that are probably a little a midway between Australia, New Zealand, and Europe, and delivered those around the world. So we know for referees what the standard of referee is when they're coming to a FIT event. We've got an idea of what their standard is just by the courses they've attended. So it would be too hard to ask Australia and New Zealand to have a unified system, or even to get Europe or Asia or the Americas on board into a unified system. It would be a logistical nightmare.
Yeah, but I guess from the perspective of your organisation and the coaching panel and so forth, you're all operating on a very, standardised, to use Claire's question. You're operating on the same wavelength, and everyone's competing at exactly the same level, regardless of what their national badge system is. So, I guess you've encapsulated that response nicely, and thank you to Claire for asking it. And we invite questions from the audience tonight. So if you do have a question for our panel, please ask away. So, Darren, I might bring you in again now and just talk about the importance of referee evaluation and assessment when we're going through that system and looking at, the appointments and applying it to the development level of referees. What advice can you provide for referees coaches around the world?
Is that to me or Darren?
For Darren.
Sorry.
Look, I think it's really critical to make sure that you've got a referee training and development program in every country, which will have competencies attached to the levels, as Matto just mentioned before. Whatever the badge system is, there'll be competencies that match to whatever the badge levels are. If you have a referee training development program with a badge system attached to it, I think that's a pretty it's a foundation. It's a basic minimum that you need to be able to have, and it applies. The great thing about the badge system, wherever it is it shows the pathway for a referee who can come in at any part of that system and actually say, "Oh, I can understand. I can come in and start at this level and move through the system, or I'm glad to be a park referee, affiliate referee. That's where I want to be." But touch refereeing is one of those things, Adam, where once you start in that system, it becomes very, very addictive because you can see yourself in it. It's very family oriented. Every event I've ever been to across the world, Australia, South Africa, and Asia, in Europe, the one thing that's consistent is when you're in the referee contingent, you're in a family. You're in a family environment, and I think that has helped to keep referees around the world because they they love it, and they will come back to it. So that's the importance, I think, of having good structures and systems. Having a training and development program for referees shows a person that that's something that they can either get into to learn more, to learn skills about refereeing, or to actually aspire to be the Dave Badger of this world, be the #1 referee in the world, if that's what you want to pursue. Any level you can go into.
Absolutely. And, one thing that we have touched on in conversations with the countries as we've done the set of 6 around the world, it's the importance of that development, because the sport can't grow if our officials can't dictate the game. They can't manage the game. So the sport itself won't grow without the growth that you guys bring to it. And it's such an important aspect of that, the professionalism and the development and that constant or consistent coaching approach that you guys take to the world that really supports that development. So kudos to you. Sylvain, I want to throw it out to you as somebody that's benefited from that practice. Just how important is that consistency of the coaching approach as a on-field referee, that feedback that you're getting? What role has it played in your development?
So coaching as a vital part of development in the referee. We can work on our self-assessments, but we need to have the view from outside, and referee coach will provide these visions of our refereeing systems, how we ref, how we are on the field. Consistency is really important because as referee, we need to be helps to go to the good directions. If we have some different viewpoint from the coach, we don't know where we want to go. So that's really important that we have consistency to grow the level of referee. By having consistency in the coaching, we will have consistency between referee on field, and we all know that consistency between referee is a key part of the games. That's really difficult for the player to have a great games if there's inconsistency between referee. So part of that coming from the coach, and we need to work with all the coach to just make sure there are consistency on the views they deliver around the sport of touch. That's not only on how we referee, but they will bring consistency between the games of touch. And to that, we need to organize more workshops with coach. They need to talk together to work on the same pathway. That's why in Europe we think about referee coach development modules and training course. We're working to professionalize them and to make more workshops between coach to get more consistency. One difficulties we can have in Europe is the different level of the NTA in Europe. We've got some NTA like England Dutch associations that have 20 years of existence, and at the opposite side, we've got some new country like Bulgaria or Spain, Portugal that just emerging, and that's really difficult to maintain the same standards of the referee and the referee coach between all these countries. That's a real challenge for us in Europe to provide the same opportunity to everyone in Europe to develop and reach their full potentials as referee. One of the difficulties is, and probably Bianca get it in Asia also, is the languages. With 19 different countries, there's a lot of different languages with cultures and everything. We need to have some coach that understands the culture and speak the language of the referee in their country to avoid any misunderstanding between what we want to achieve and what they understand. And that's a real difficulty in Europe for the coach, because we sometimes have some referees that don't understand very well the English. That was probably my case when I started in 2010s. I start referring at international levels, and maybe if I haven't got any friends from France that translate me the coaching and the meetings, I probably won't understand 10% of what they said. So we need to be careful and work closely with the NTA to just make sure that our message is well understood by everyone all around Europe and the world.
But I guess the sharing of that experience, and you've faced it personally, so you're able to take that out there and let the organisers know at the fit level that is something that you're facing. And I've known Matto for a long time, and I've known the people that are on the Fit Commission. They love a challenge, and they're really at the forefront of making sure that their members are treated with that respect, and that's something that they're taking out there and fixing as we speak. So, and the online courses is a great way of doing that, being able to see something and have it reflected upon immediately. That's a great way to overcome some of those barriers. So again, good insight, Sylvain, and thanks for sharing your personal perspective and the journey that you've taken there as a referee with that language barrier and how you've overcome it. And of course, it's recognised in countries like Europe or the Asian continents there, where the language barrier is certainly something that's faced, that it's probably not as recognisable in countries like Australia and New Zealand. So it's good insight once again, and thanks for sharing. So, Matto, I might throw it back out to you there. What are the key issues that the fit referees are looking to achieve in the years ahead?
As we've been delivering these courses, Adam, whether it be through Japan or through the island nations or wherever it's been, I mean, the push for the Fit Referees Commission is to get a lot more of these people to represent at international level, and whether it be the Youth World Cup or World Cup, I mean, to come out of their own tournaments and into an international event gives them a lot more insight into what the games gives them a little bit more on game awareness. The coaching's a little bit different. It's more specific. It's more game outcome orientated. And I think really to see, I mean, the goal for the next, to the next World Cup would be to see at least one or two referees from every one of the 12 nations that attended the course in Asia, to get them from Kiribati, from Samoa, as well as New Zealand, Australia, from Chile and America, and on through South Africa, and where these courses have been delivered to actually see those referees develop and come to the front enough to have confidence enough to referee at a World Cup or Youth World Cup, whatever the case may be. That's probably the goal of myself and all of my panel members. We're really pushing to get more referees worldwide involved. We'd like nothing more than to see, like in a grand final, somebody from America or Chile or one of the islands, alongside the Australian, New Zealand and European referees, because that's who's dominated in the past. So we're trying to break that cycle a little bit and give more referees around the world more opportunities to develop and grow and be incorporated in our events.
Yeah, awesome. And I guess too, some of the pictures that we've seen here, and we have Bianca on the panel tonight. It's probably the one female face amongst the group. Isn't a reflection of the work that's being done in the refereeing ranks, because some of the real leading lights in the refereeing world are female referees.
To me, you're talking now, Adam?
Yeah, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of our girls, I think we're doing something a little bit different now. It was in the past like female referees just were allocated female games and that, but we don't do that now. Female referees have become very strong. They're as strong and stronger in a lot of areas than their male counterparts. So what we've done is we allocate referees, whether they're male or female, based into the game that we feel they're strong enough, how they're going to handle the team environment. So some of our referees now, to give you an idea, our leading, I think I think the leading female in Australia got in the top 6 or 7 referees against every referee. And I think in New Zealand recently as well, their female top referee got in the top 6 or 7 too. I could be corrected by Darren, but I'm sure that's right. That tells you how much the female development is coming along. To give you an idea a little bit further, like with our girls going to junior tournaments, we have no trouble getting, say, 20% or more of our referees. Well, we had 230 referees at a junior tournament. 86 of those referees were females. But to get them to go further is more difficult because they just love to play, and it's, but now we're starting to get a lot more. There's a lot more in our systems now, and I think over the next, say, 2 to 3 to 5 years, you'll see the number of females double. And, I think it's good for our sport because I think there's pretty much 50-50 when it comes to the playing group, and to align that with our female refereeing group would be something special.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've had another comment come in from Claire. And again, we welcome our audience participation here. In relation to referee panels around the world, what are TFA and Touch New Zealand doing to create more gender diversity? And Claire puts it out there that she thinks we need more women referees coaching. Is that something that you're trying to promote as well?
Yeah, absolutely. On the international panel, we have 12 panel members. 2 of those are female. On the national panel, I think we've got 12 members. That's Australian national. I think there's 12 panel, and I think 4 of those are female. On state panel, we have 12 members, and 4 of those are female. So the numbers are slowly increasing, and they're all coaches. They're all coaches. They're not referees. They're 100% coaches. So there's certainly a lot of females now that are choosing a coaching career path. We really welcome that. They're really good. They're really good coaches, and they're able to relate a lot more in different areas. So I think as time progresses and people see they're more comfortable, the ladies in particular see they're more comfortable with referee coaching, they'll adopt that. And we welcome that. We're actually trying our best to get as many as we can.
Excellent. Sylvain, from the European perspective, I know there, I think it's a 50-50 balance in the referees' ranks.
No, it's a 50-50 balance in the European Referee Commissions. We were very lucky to have these repartitions in the Referee Commissions. However, in the referee, we still lacking of women involved, and that's always the same things on referee coaching. We have a small number of women involved. That's not easy to focus and to grow developments dedicated to the women, but that's something we would like to develop in the next years. So working more closely to have a better understanding on their needs, and just make sure that all around is safe environment for them. Just make sure there's no harassment. All the conditions need to be fair and protective, not only for the woman, also for the junior and every referee, because we know that could be more challenging for a woman on main games or something like that. So we just need to put in place everything we can to offer this opportunity of self-development for everyone, especially for the woman.
Excellent. And Darren, yourself with New Zealand, how are you finding the balance there, and what's being done, within your country to develop that side of the sport?
Yeah, Adam, we've got some real challenges in New Zealand. In one sense, in the refereeing ranks, our gender diversity is very good, and particularly at younger levels. So, as an example, at national championships now, over the last probably 2 or 3 seasons. Probably 30 to 40% of our referees are under the age of 18. Half of them will be female. And that's due to quite a bit of work taking place at the what we call the provincial level in New Zealand, with provincial referee directors working with local affiliate providers. And for some reason, we've had just a surge in young people getting involved in refereeing. However, that's not the case with our referee coaching, and we've that's a real serious problem for me as Touch New Zealand National Director of Referees for the last couple seasons. We haven't had a national referee coach that's female. We had a long run for probably 5, 6, 7 years where we'd had 2, and one of them was Tammy Clark, our leading #1 referee for many, many years.
Yeah.
So that's something that we have to look at, really, is the pathway for our referee coaches for females. There's the pathways for referees, for female referees or referees in general, allows that diversity to come through. But that's a serious problem for us. And, what I'm really mindful of is that for female referees, they need to see that and referee coaches that it just can't be male referee coaches, right?
Yeah.
They need to be able to see that there is diversity, and we have to make. I think where we're getting to is we have to do far more targeting of females in our sport that that want to go into this particular pathway. Referee coaching is probably our most serious problem in New Zealand generally, not just in females. Everyone wants to be on field.
Yeah.
Our numbers have increased, but just not enough to keep up with the demand, and that's referee coaching in New Zealand is our number one critical issue.
I guess that's a counter to what Ian talked about before, where we've got more people participating longer. That while they have the ability to stay on the field, that's their choice, that's their goal, that's where they want to maintain. So I take that point, Darren, and I know again from watching the development of referees in New Zealand and around the world, I know it is something that you guys have taken very seriously and are looking at how you can develop that. So it'll be interesting to see in the coming years just how we can turn that around. So Bianca, I want to come to you now. How important is it to you as a young female referee to have that guidance, that support and the mentorship from another woman, referees coach?
Yeah, I'm really glad that this topic came up because we're talking about gender diversity a lot more now, and sort of female representation, not just, on the field, it's fine. We have lots of women's teams, but in off-field, in other off-field activities, like in coaching and refereeing, or even in the board, there's still a lack of female representation. But it's great that we're having this conversation now, because it means that people are receptive to it. People are more open to it. I think it's really important to be represented as a female referee, because it's not easy to be a referee, whether you're a man or a woman. Referees take a lot of abuse on the field. So it's even scarier if you're a tiny person like me, I'm not exactly 6'5", but whenever I have to referee a men's game, I have these giant rugby players yelling at me, and it's really scary. So it's good to have a support system. It's good to see also if there are other women referee coaches, I think that would encourage more females to participate, to volunteer as a referee. In the Philippines, at least, most of our volunteers are female. So we actually need to get more male representation in the Philippines. But I know for a majority of nations out there, it's very much male dominated. But it's good. Like Matto mentioned, there was a culture change in recent years where, it's not so cliquish anymore. The community, I feel, is a lot more inviting and welcoming to people from all over the place, to women as well. So just that culture of inclusivity and support as well. I think that would encourage a lot more women to put their hand up and get into refereeing for a lot longer, as long as there's support coming from the referees commission. And yeah, it would be great to have more women referee coaches, and I will take note of that for our initiatives in the member relations commission.
Yeah, awesome. And again, it's great to have that insight from somebody that's on the ground and really being able to speak from personal experience. So it's, I thank you for sharing that with us tonight and bringing that perspective to the conversation. So fantastic. And thanks again for sharing. We have a question, and it was interesting there that you mentioned, Bianca, about, it's a tough gig to referee, and we've got a developing referee that's asked a question there. How do you manage difficult players on the field? And what do you do when a player yells after every single call that you make? I'm a new referee and I need some help with conflict management. So, Matto, this is, I think, a question for you. What in those development courses, what have we got to help those developing referees around conflict management and handling situations like that?
Okay. So we've got into a lot of our courses now, we build in a section on respect and composure, and dealing with irate players. I think most players can be calmed down if the referee is calm as well. But in all of our courses now, we've just introduced probably over the last 12 months or something, everything that we deliver has got something to do with mental toughness and health and well-being and things like that weren't delivered in referee courses or sessions ever before. But over the last 12 months, it's become almost mandatory to have that in the course because of the shifting tides of the way things are moving just in day-to-day life around the world. So we've incorporated different things to keep to show our referees how to manage players, but we don't have as much aggression as what we once did. I think the coaching throughout the game has become a lot better and a lot more respectful. I don't think we have half the, we still have them, but I don't think we have half the issues we had, say, 10 years ago. I think the game shifted a little bit further now with a lot more respect shown both ways.
I think that's the key point. You made that comment in an earlier discussion or part of the discussion. It's teaching the referees how to demonstrate respect to the players and earn respect back. That's that relationship that I think we're all becoming better at, bringing to the game.
Yeah, absolutely, mate, for sure.
Yeah.
I think it's the only way forward. And we've focused on that a lot now. Even in coming into our major tournaments, we hit on that. We know there can be frustration, whether it be from a player or a coach or a captain or whatever. We just show referees the right way to deal with that.
Yeah, nice insight. And again, it is. I think it's very demonstrable. We can see it in all of the games, whether they're at a national or international level. Just that respect that's being built both ways. So it's another really interesting point that you make. And the fact that it's been noted and it's now, so heavily promoted in that development aspect of the game. So, yeah, awesome. So we might look to wrap it up. We've got one final question around what referees want to be the best they can be, and what advice would you each give to aspiring referees if they want to try and make their way to the pinnacle and attend a World Cup? Might start with you, Darren.
Excellent, mate. Oh, that's such a great question, right? And I don't think there's any one single answer, but really reflecting back over the referees I've seen around the world, but there's a couple of common things. One is, I think, the referees who get to the top have had strong foundations in training and development, have done hard yards at their local affiliates and really work through the system. So I think that's part of it. Another part which, and I'm reminded of people like Dave Baggio and Maya Williams. If you're going to aspire to the top, you actually have to get used to disappointment and managing disappointment, because not everyone gets to the top and stays at the top. You get to the top, you move down, you move back up. You've got to be able to deal with disappointment. And those that manage to do that have got those sort of composure skills, generally do really well. The other probably couple factors are those who are planner organizer personality types that can actually look at, what do I need to do to, if I want to get to the next Fit Youth World Cup and I'm a badge referee wherever in the world, what do I need to do to get to that in 4 years' time? And having those local contacts with senior referees or referee coach that can help them work out all the sort of milestones to get you well positioned so that you can at least have a go at getting a selection. The last thing for me, and this has been a big push by Maddo, I would say over the last 10 plus years, is those referees who do get to the top are those referees who are team focused. It's about a team of three on the field. It's not about you have to be able to get the best individual performance, yes, but you have to be a team focused referee. It's the only way. That's why that's the number one breakpoint for assessments for referees is teamwork. So you have to be a teamwork oriented. Those would be the few things that would pop into my mind when I'm thinking about the best of the best around the world. Those best referees out of Europe. Those would be the common things I would think about, Adam.
Yeah, nice. Thanks, Darren. Sylvain, what about yourself, mate? From an active referee's perspective, what is it that you'll be looking to achieve, as you make your way to the World Cup, and what advice can you give based on your own experience?
First, attending the World Cup is one step, but that is not the final step. There's a lot of more to do when you are at the World Cup. That's a great step, but that's not the final of the journey. So for me, that will be a long journey, a very long journey. You will have to never give up. Keep focused on your goals. You can do it. Keep going. Do it step by step. We can go there from grassroots to the top in one step. Do some small steps. And finally, two different things. Look at who is around you. Find the mentors. For me, that's okay. You are going to learn from who is around you, help you to go. Darwin was talking about setbacks, disappointment, and everything. Your teams, the guy or woman that are around you will help you to go further. We will do with a team. And from my perspective, have the referee as much as you can. From grassroots to the top, you need to have to encounter a maximum of situations that will come experiences, and you need to have as much as you possible, not only top games, but go back to the grassroots sometimes to just stay on fields and close to the reality of the fields. So that's my advice. Never give up. Go step by step. Look at your teams, your mentors, and have as much as you can.
Awesome. Great insight, Sylvain. Thank you very much. And Bianca, we'll close that discussion out with your perspective. Just what steps can you put out there for those developing referees coming from the position that you are as a young person that's now putting back into the sport at every level?
Yeah, I would say I would probably add to what Sylvain was saying, just to have like a good support system around you. Have people, or if possible, have someone watch you referee and give constructive feedback as well. I think in my personal experience, refereeing is definitely character building and confidence building as well. There's a lot of challenges that come along with refereeing, but the more experience you put in, the more games you officiate, and just getting that on-field experience will really help you to build your confidence and make your calls and also own your calls. Whether they're good or bad calls, that's just comes with experience. And I think a lot of teams are now taking videos of their games, so referees could then access that video footage and even try to get some referee feedback from that as well. So I would say just to get as much on-field experience as you can and have that support system and team around you.
I like the point there about, owning your decisions, good and bad. And I think that's a really key point, is to recognize that we all make mistakes, and you have to wear them. You have to own them. And it's not a sign of weakness to say to a player from a referee's perspective, sorry guys, got that wrong.
Yeah.
Let's just move on. And that goes back to that respect relationship that Matto touched on. So again, great insight, Bianca, and thanks very much for sharing that. Matto, I'm just going to wrap it up with a question for you that's come in as well from Tao Zhu. Would FIT consider a stronger Asia referee committee that can connect referees more closely to share developments, referee dispatch to tournaments, and serves as a channel to liaise with Australia, New Zealand, and Europe? So a question from one of our members out there.
Not only would I welcome it, mate, I'd encourage it. I think only good things can come from that. Consistency in refereeing, referee coaching, referee development, course delivery, everything can come from just sharing of knowledge. I mean, everything I've learned, the best coaches that I've learned from are people that you probably know, Adam, but nobody else, or Darren would. But the two coaches that have impacted me the most have been Kerry Brown from New Zealand and Barry Keenahan from Australia. And I think, and there's been people that I've seen around the world, you can always get something of somebody else. But to be able to get somebody from, whether it be Asia or any part of Singapore, to work with us, even if it's on a panel, or work with us at an international event, would be absolutely sensational. I'd actually like to go further with that, because I think that would be sensational.
Yeah, awesome. And so, Tao, there we go, mate. We welcome it, and you've heard it from the man that's at the top of the tree as far as that's concerned. So let's see what we can do offline, and contact Ian through the FIT channels, and certainly something that everybody on board tonight would certainly love to embrace. We've got another question, Darren, and I think it's important to respond to the people that are out there watching. So from Tavita Lomalangi, how do we incentivize aspiring referees who are torn between playing and officiating? So something you actually touched on yourself. This has been an issue in Fiji for some time now. Add to this the problem of an absent referee body. What would FIT recommend? So I'll put that out to either Darren or Ian. What do you guys think?
Darren,
over to you, boss.
Oh, it's over to me. Okay. So there's a kick to the curb here, mate. It is really difficult. We face that regularly wherever we go. Like, nobody picks up a whistle when they go to the beach to have a game with their family. Nobody says, "I'll referee it." So it's not a natural thing to take up refereeing. We're playing here, so it is difficult. It just takes a lot of perseverance to get people there. Once we've got people now that have come straight from playing, that have played representative touch, be it male or female, young or a little older. We've got a lot of those people that are taking up refereeing now because there's a career path that they like. And in fact, some of them at our presentation nights have said, we wish we had found this out a few years ago, because we've now got a different pathway to what we had. The referee, and I think Darren touched on this, the refereeing is a family because you've all got the same goal. It's different to a player or a team. It's just because you're all in the same environment, you all work together. So people now want to be a part of that family. Once you're into refereeing, there's not many people give it up to go back to playing. Some do, and some play and referee. Others just referee fully. But the time has to be right for somebody to give away playing to be refereeing. You just have to persevere. That's all.
Yep. So Darren, have you got anything you want to add there, mate?
Yeah, mate. I mean, one of the lessons we've learnt here is that particularly referees who aspiring referees that are torn is in the old days we probably would have decentivized it by actually putting in place silly rules and requirements that actually absolutely turn them away from wanting to officiate. So there's got to be a fair degree of flexibility to allow people who are in between that they can get a taste of refereeing, and if they go back to playing, that's fine. But at a certain level if they're wanting, if you don't catch them when they're in there, at a certain point, particularly if they want to aspire for a little bit more at another badge level, then allow them to go back. I think we've made mistakes in the past where we've just said, well, make a decision. You either need to be refereeing or need to be playing. And this is a particular sort of challenge we've had with under 18-year-old referees. And actually what we've done with those referees now is really taken off all the requirements so that there's a bit of fluidity, and we try and make sure that at a national level that for an under 18-year-old referee, that group of referees, that they really leave the event having enjoyed it, so that they've got a positive experience about refereeing, because that's probably your best chance, I think, of them making a conscious decision later on to go, hey, that refereeing gig, that wasn't too bad. I really enjoyed it. I like the environment. I'll come back to it. But the thing you will absolutely work against that if you say, well, you need to make a choice. You're either refereeing or you're playing, and that will drive people away. So, being I think a little bit of flexibility will go a long way in allowing a person to make a good choice for themselves. And at least if they have a taste of refereeing and they go back to playing, we find now younger players that had made that choice to go and play, they come back to refereeing because they had a great experience when they refereed. They didn't feel forced to stay in that space. And I think that's the challenge across the world at the moment, is how do you allow that to happen where people are fluid between playing and officiating.
So making the most of the opportunity and harnessing it when you have that opportunity and the chance to strike early and demonstrate that it is a recognizable career path for a lot of people now. So nice insight there. Sylvain, last question for the night. We'll throw it out to you there. Is that something that's reflected also from the European perspective?
Yes, that's always difficult because, as we already said, that we often not coming to referee in the first choice. We just come in because we can't play. We need to stop play, or that's the second or the third choice for people coming to the referee. Probably because we have a lack of recognition of the referee part of the sport and what they can achieve as referee. We need to change the perceptions of the referee and make sure that everyone knows that it's a full career opportunities to perform like a player, and we are still competitive and great performer and athletes as referee, and we can achieve great performance and great recognitions from everyone. As referee, when you reach a final to referee a finals, that's the same pleasure as a player or something like that. And we need just to make sure that we offer this pathway and that everyone can know that that is a way to perform, to practice your sports and give back if you are in your later age. So for me, the visions of the referee need to change. That's some real sportive guy and they are performer and they have a full career as referee. And I'm totally agree with Darren when he say you don't need to stop play to become referee. You can make the choice to make some back and returns to each positions. You will learn a lot of things when you are a player, an understanding of the games. That's a key point of a great referee, because if you want to have a good positioning to make the right calls, you need to understand the play. You can get it by playing or video analysis or anything like that. So if you like to play, keep playing. To be clear, and if you want to get your black badge, you will have to dedicate some season, sometimes on full-time referee. But after that, you can go back on play. There's a couple of examples in Europe where black badge and playing for the national team to the next international events. So as referee commissions, we don't want to have full dedicated referee and block them for the play. No, they will learn a lot from the play and give back to the community when they come back, because they will come back. Referee community is a second family for me, for us. And even if we start by necessity for the club, for the region and everything, we stay there because we find some friends. We love it, and we don't want to get out of the community for so long. So hope to see you soon on field, Guy.
Yeah, absolutely. So, look, to each and every one of you, I really thank you for bringing your perspectives to this discussion tonight. It's been wide-ranging, and we've had some great interaction from the viewers out there as well. So to Darren, Ian, Bianca and Sylvain, thank you very much for participating tonight and for bringing your insight into this discussion. To Vita, I hope that answers that. I thought there was some wide-ranging responses there and some takeaway. So thanks, guys. And, we look forward to seeing you out there when we can hit the field running again.
Yeah,
thanks, Adam. Thanks, mate.
Adam, we'll see everybody later. See you somewhere in the world.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
So that'll wrap up another set of 6. It was a great conversation with our officiating arm, and a very professional outfit they are. And with people like that dedicated to the sport, it's plain to see why we are achieving some of the things we are. We look forward to having another set of 6 conversation somewhere around the world. Will pop up, I'm sure. I know we've got Wales to have a chat to soon. So while it's bye for now, keep an eye on all of our socials for the Federation, and we'll have another chat shortly. Thanks for joining us.